Mission Impossible 2 compared to Mission Impossible 1, it's like a different franchise, doesn't it? Like, if you showed me these two films separately and Tom Cruise didn't happen to have the name Ethan Hunt, like, I'd be completely convinced that this was something completely different.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Starring, amongst others, Tom Cruise, Dougray Scott, Thandie Newton, Richard Roxburgh, John Paulson, Brendan Gleeson and Ving Rhames. Directed by John Woo, you'd never be able to tell it, off of a screenplay by Robert Towne. This is my review for Mission Impossible 2. So welcome back to my Mission Impossible reviews. I'm reviewing each one on the run-up to Mission Impossible Fallout, which is out next week. I hope to be able to get these done in time. I've had 1 and 2 done pretty successfully, pretty quickly, so 3, 4 and 5 should follow, aiming for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. And then Thursday will be the Mission Impossible 6 review. Or at least I'm seeing it that day. I can't really remember. Either way, I'm hoping to get them done in time. So Mission Impossible 2 then. Well, as I said, it's like a different film altogether. I mean, let's look at the character of Ethan Hunt, for one. In the last film, he was a spy, and he was quite... Well, he was reserved. Like, he wasn't a cocky, arrogant guy for the most part. He was somebody in a terrible situation who was trying to get themselves out of it. That was his MO. That's what he was doing. You could see him as a real person, as a genuine person in extreme situations. Right from the start in Mission Impossible 2, we see him doing the most insane rock climb as part of his holiday. Like, this isn't a mission, he's just doing this for fun. He's nearly dying just for shits and giggles. And it's really jarring. It's a really strange thing, and he continues like this throughout. He goes from just a regular spy to an all-out action dude. Like, just shooting people from behind without really looking on motorbikes, blowing things up for the sheer hell of it. It's such a weird switch from Mission Impossible 1 to 2, and it may just be because last night I watched the first one and tonight I've watched the second. But yeah, that change in tone is really, really evident. And it's not just with Ethan, it's with Mission Impossible as a whole. The first film was, and I mentioned in the review, it was more of a spy movie than it was an action movie. There was much more emphasis on the spy, on the gadgets, on what it's like to be a spy, and what it's like to be in a pretty shitty situation as a spy. This is an action movie. It is. This is action movie first, and then occasionally it's like it goes, yeah, we're a spy movie. We should probably go back and do a few spy bits here and there. We should have some gadgets involved. But it really does feel like the whole spy motif is an afterthought. And the later Mission Impossible movies, I think, blend the two quite well. They're able to find that balance between having lots of action and being a spy film. The first, more spy, less action. This one, full-on action movie, like 100%. And that largely comes down to the fact that John Woo's directing it. And if you didn't know John Woo was directing it, but then you don't know John Woo, because this is full of so many John Woo tropes. Birds flying across the screen for absolutely no reason? Check. Slow motion shots for absolutely no reason? Check, 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 check. Multiple checks. Birds flying in slow motion? Check. All there. All evidently John Woo. And it's right from the off as well. The car chase, but the car chase for no reason as well. Just the pointless car chase race that Ethan Hunt and Thandie Newton's character have, and I really need to remember her name. I've just watched the film and I already can't remember her name. Naya. That's it, I didn't know. Oh, a video's just finished processing. Naya, yeah. So the chase that they have, the race, when he's trying to woo her, when he's trying to John Woo her. Sorry. Which is there for absolutely no reason at all. It just cuts into slow-mo. Just of them spinning around in circles and just slow-mo looking at each other as they go. It's really, really weird and off-putting. And again, a complete tonal shift from the first Mission Impossible. And I guess that does make sense. This is a different director, but it would have been nice if they'd been able to retain some sort of balance, some sort of way to make this feel like a natural continuation rather than a complete reboot. Because it does. It does feel like a reboot. The villain here is so much more of a generic villain than the one in the first movie. Phelps in the first one, like the way he conducted himself didn't make him feel like just your typical villain. This guy, Sean Ambrose, he does. His motivations don't make a lot of sense. They're very much lacking. He's another member of the agency who's just switched, who's gone evil. And we see that he's evil right from the start. But there's no balance to him. There's nothing really redeeming about him, which kind of makes it seem a bit odd that he was an agent with the IMF in the first place, because I don't know how he passed a lot of their personality tests, because this guy's just a generic psycho. He chops off the top of people's thumbs for no real reason whatsoever, just because he's a dick. And yeah, it would be nice if there was just a little bit more nuance to him, something just to make him a little bit more relatable, so we could understand his goals a little bit more. Because the plot of this one, and I've done this in the wrong order really, I should have said the plot first, but Ambrose has stolen a chemical weapon and the antidote, and he wants to make money off having both of them. That's his goal. It's money. That's all he wants. It's just money. But when you have a villain like that, when their only motivation is financial, there's no real personality to them. There's nothing personable about them. They're just, as I say, just generic, and that's a shame, because Phelps in the first one, there was more to him than that. So I feel like I'm being a bit negative towards Mission Impossible 2, and, well, I suppose I am, because it is a step down from the first one. It's nowhere near as good. But it does have good things going for it, and despite saying that Ethan Hunt is a very different character in this one, and he's just the action star rather than the cool spy, Tom Cruise is still very good. He's still, whatever incarnation Ethan Hunt takes, and I think from the third one he stabilises, he becomes a bit more of a consistent character, but Cruise is always good, no matter what the material is given. In the Mission Impossible films, he's had a few duds elsewhere. But yeah, he's an incredibly personable guy, I should say, and he's still fun to watch. His take on Ethan, as I say, maybe more, let's make things blow up for the fun of it, but I still like him. I can still watch him, and I can still enjoy watching him. And by the way, things do blow up a lot in this just for the sake of it. Like when cars crash. In the last one, if a car had crashed, you would expect it to just crash. In this one, if it crashes, it explodes. Multiple times. Tandy Newton, something Newton, is brilliant in this one. She looks gorgeous in this, by the way, as well, I have to say. That she looks amazing. But yeah, really good performance from her. I like the fact that she isn't just somebody in need of saving. She does need saving at points in this film, but that's not her MO. That's not all she does. There's more to her. Like, she's voluntarily going into a dangerous situation with her ex, which is Sean Ambrose. She puts herself in that one for the greater good and to stop him. And when it looks like everything's lost, she's the one that injects herself with this illness just so that he can't kill her. It's brave that she does that, and yeah, I like this take on the character. I didn't really connect with the relationship between her and Ethan because it felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I'm not sure where we got from these guys just meeting, having their car race, and then being in love, which is kind of where they were by the end of the film. And as far as I'm aware, she's not mentioned again. Is she mentioned in 3? I mean, I guess I'll find out when I watch the film in the next couple of days. But yeah, that takes the shine off away the fact that we know she's not a part of the franchise going forward. But even if she was, the way they met here just didn't really do anything for me. But again, that being said, I did like the character and I did like her performance. I thought she was really, really good in this film. Something else I found interesting was that this tried to riff on a couple of the things that were successful in the first Mission Impossible film. So, in the first one, right towards the end, Ethan Hunt's nearly decapitated by the propeller of a helicopter, just as you do. And it literally stops just by his neck, like an inch away. In this one, it's a knife to the eye that stops literally just in front of the eye, an inch away. So it's the same sort of thing, just less effective. Like the swinging of the propeller just slowing down just as it gets to his neck was really good. Just the knife to the eye is just, yeah, I don't know, it's lacking. It's kind of like doing what the first one did but less successfully. And the same too for the wire sequence. I said that's one of my favourite sequences in the entire franchise, and it is. And they try to riff on that again here. Once again, Tom Cruise is on a wire. And this time, rather than a slow, methodical build-up of a scene, it's him jumping out of a helicopter, flying through a grate as it's opening, and just swinging down a landing just before he hits the ground. So it's taking what the first one did, but just not doing it as well. Trying to do it bigger, but then kind of failing at the same time when they're trying to do that. But taken as it is, just taken as a dumb, silly action movie, I quite enjoyed Mission Impossible 2. Like, it's nowhere near as good as the first, and I may do a ranking video once I've seen all 6 and just kind of place where I think these all are on sort of a ranking thing, because it doesn't always relate to the score. But yeah, as an action movie, there's fun to be had. There's a lot of action stuff that's great. It's fun to watch. I wasn't bored at all during this film. I didn't think it ran overly long, but it just felt like a cheapened down, a watered down version of the first one. And nothing near what it would become in sort of 4 and 5. I don't remember 3 too much, but 4 and 5 I know were very good. I know they found that balance and used it very well. This one, as I say, just felt like overkill. It felt like it was trying to be too flamboyant in the way it did things rather than showing restraint. And Mission Impossible films work best when they know how to show some restraint. When they know that now's the time to maybe not go quite as far as they want to just lean back in just a little bit. John Woo here doesn't seem to be able to do it. He's just, yep, it's going to explode. But I did enjoy the film. I did like it a lot. I'm looking forward to watching number 3. I'm going to give Mission Impossible 2 a 7 out of 10. What did you think of the second one? I always thought that this was my favourite one, but it must just be that I watched it when I was a lot younger. Haven't seen it since, and now the flaws are starting to show. Like, the more you watch films and the more you analyse them, the more you look at them critically. And yeah, that's happened with Mission Impossible 2 now, but still, a good time. Let me know what your favourite Mission Impossible movie is in the comments below. If you want to hit like and subscribe, that would be awesome, because every time I get a new subscriber, I do a little smile, and I like smiling. So please subscribe. It's a creepy smile now. It's gone creepy. You can follow me on Twitter at JoeJulians. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.